Management lessons from Bheeshma. Bheeshma, also known as Devavrat, was the eldest Kuru. He was the eighth son of the Kuru king Shantanu and river goddess Ganga. He was blessed with a boon to decide the moment of his death. Bheeshma was Pitama to both Pandavas and Kauravas. He was a great archer and warrior. He is a fine illustration of ethics and fairness. In the battle of Kurukshetra, Bheeshma was the supreme commander of the Kauravas. Story of Bheeshma's father King Shantanu. King Shantanu wanted to remarry a fisherwoman named Satyavati. But her father put a condition that she will marry King Shantanu only if he promises that the son born to his daughter will sit on the throne of Hastinapur. Shantanu obviously felt that it would be injustice to his beloved and deserving son Devavrat. So, he rejected the offer and went back to Hastinapur with a heavy heart. But he started missing Satyavati and fall severely sick. Devavrat somehow learned the reason behind it. He then went to meet Satyavati's father and requested him to allow Satyavati to marry his father, Shantanu. And to assure him he took a terrible oath to remain alone and lonely for the rest of his life. Though Shantanu and Satyavati got married happily, the people of Hastinapur were unhappy at losing an extremely deserving crown prince. They made their displeasure known to Bheeshma. To appease them, Bheeshma took yet another oath that he would always be there to serve the throne of Hastinapur irrespective of who sits upon it. Of course, Bheeshma had no idea that this oath will force him to side with those whose actions he disapproved in his heart. There are many important lessons one can learn from Bheeshma. Lesson 1. Commitment. The character of Bheeshma is synonymous with commitment. Bheeshma took an oath of celibacy so that his father can remarry and his children can become king of Hastinapur. Bheeshma also took an oath that he will not die until he feels that his kingdom is in safe hand. No matter what situation came, Bheeshma never took a step backward from his duty towards Hastinapur. Learning. 1. True leaders don't give up against the obstacles and setbacks, rather they work out the way to overcome them. 2. Dedication sometimes requires us to leave old habits, people, and things which we like the most. 3. When you are committed to something, you accept no excuses but results. Lesson 2. Loyalty. Bheeshma had to sacrifice the throne of Hastinapur because of his oath. Still, he had no ill feeling towards his step-brothers and stepmother. He spent his whole life protecting Hastinapur and its people. Learning. 1. Organization success to a great extent depends upon loyal employees and loyal customers. Lesson 3. Don't take decision in emotion. Bheeshma was the most powerful warrior, but his own oath became his weakness. He was bound by his oath of being a servant of the throne no matter who sits upon it. As a result, even after knowing the ill intentions of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, he could not do much for the Pandavas. Learning. 1. Too much emotions not only lead to rash decisions but also make you more vulnerable to risk. 2. The biggest mistake a manager can make is taking an important decision in emotion. Lesson 4. Self-centeredness. Bheeshma was very much focused on his personal duty and didn't bother much about his duty towards the society. He remained stuck to his personal dharma and ignored the general dharma of a Kshatriya. As a result, he failed to give Hastinapur its true king. He even failed to save his clan from destruction. Learning. 1. If you cannot put interest of others first, leadership isn't for you. 2. Keeping your promise is appreciable unless it doesn't harm others. 3. The best organization put its stakeholders above everything else. 4. One must be willing to sacrifice his individual identity, opinions and preferences for the betterment of the organization. 5. Individual employees' goal must always be in sync with organizational goals. Lesson 5. Sacrifice. Bheeshma is the epitome of sacrifice. He sacrificed his rights, his happiness for the sake of his father's happiness. For the well-being of his brother's future generations, he decided to remain unmarried throughout his life. Even after being the most capable person, he bounded himself with the throne of Hastinapur, not as a king, but as a servant. Learning. 1. Great leaders are those who are willing to make sacrifices like self-interest, spotlight, time and bad habits. 2. Effective managers are willing to share their power with others for organization's growth. Lesson 6. Ethics. Though Bheeshma was bound by his promise to serve the throne, he always tried to support the rightful Pandavas. For instance, even though he was fighting against them, he himself told them the way to get rid of him in the battlefield. Learning 1. Business owners must run clean operations. 2. True leader influences subordinates through integrity, fairness, transparency, and accountability. 3. Companies must fulfill its obligation towards the community through CSR activities. Lesson 7. Be practical. Bhishma took oath without thinking its future consequences. This led him to bear tremendous pain throughout his life. History could have been completely different if he wouldn't have taken the oath. Learning 1. Managers must devote enough time in analyzing various alternatives before taking any decision. 2. Managers should avoid decision making under conditions of uncertainty.